Some of your friends are rude.
Hello, Ashton. Wolfbear. Reverse camera. My dad recently got this used 2014 Subaru BRZ. Most owners of this car, or the Toyota equivalent, know that a large draw to it is modification. We're starting off with a small one today, and that is a reverse camera. The camera is going to mount on the plastic trunk garnish right here in the back. To the right of the license plate lights is the trunk lock, and mirrored to that is the mounting location for the camera. If I actually open up the trunk, you can just barely make out the mold seams for where a factory one would have been placed. So that's the car, that's what we're doing. Now let me show you the kit. My dad got his from camera-source.com, and the company is EVI Systems. In the kit there are the instructions, camera grommet, hole saw, the video power cable bundle, and lastly the head unit adapter with zip ties wrapped in plastic. Back out of the car, the first thing we want to do rather than mounting the camera is to make sure it works. To start, the silver dash panels were removed by simply pulling on them carefully. There are 4 bolts holding the head unit in, 2 on either side, so those were removed too. As a precaution to avoid scratching, a towel was placed down on the gear shift and then it was pulled out. With that out, we can now start dealing with the wiring. This orange wire closest to the camera is the reverse gear indicator wire. Some don't have that in there, but we were lucky enough not to have to worry about that. The kit, however, does have the wire and instructions on how to install one if you do need to. To start, this top plug with a single gray wire was removed and the harness adapter that came with the kit was plugged in its place. Then the plug we just took out was now plugged into the female end of the new adapter. The power and video wires are all now that's left to work with. Do note that the video power bundle and harness wires aren't stripped, so we had to strip them ourselves. The power video cable bundle has a 4-prong male connector for the camera, the male video cable, and the 2 power wires we just stripped. And the camera of course has the other end of the 4-prong connector. The positive and negative wires were twisted up temporarily just for testing, as well as plugging in the video cable and the camera. Once the car was on, I threw it into reverse and hey, we got an image. But if you look, you can see 2 sets of guidelines. One is supplied by the head unit software and the other by the camera in case the head unit doesn't have them. But since we do already have them, we can just cut this white wire on the camera cable that was left exposed just for this reason. Inside, and after removing the harness adapter and the power bundle, I soldered together the positive and negative wires and secured them with this clear heat shrink. Back outside, we can go ahead and start the process of actually installing the camera. The first step is to take out all the plastic retaining pins and remove the trunk beauty panel. Then to remove the plastic trunk garnish where we'll be putting the camera, we had to remove 5 nuts and push out 1 plastic pin. The garnish can then be pulled up, but to remove it all the way we had to unplug the trunk release switch connector. With that now out, you can just maybe see the seams a little bit better. But once the center was marked out on the garnish, the hole was drilled out with the supplied hole saw. The camera wire was then fed through the hole and the grommet was stuck onto the camera. After the camera was located into place and firmly pressed down, the retaining nut was then screwed on. A hole was also poked into the trunk switch wire grommet and the camera cable fed through. Everything was then put back into place and the nuts were tightened back down. The wire needs to be fed inconspicuously back into the cabin, so this rubber grommet is taken out. Using some thick gauge wire we had lying around, a coat hanger would be just fine too, we snaked it up the trunk panel. The camera cable was then taped to it and then pulled back down. And this same method was used to feed it through the wire loom and into the trunk. Now we need to connect this cable up to the front of the car, so time to take out the trunk liner and trunk floor cover. With those removed, all there is left to do in the trunk is to take out these 2 retaining pins in the front of this side panel. And now you can see the wire is going to be hidden right behind there. Next step was to remove the side trim by pulling it up carefully. After that, we had to remove one retainer pin from the front trim piece, and then that piece was able to be slid out. The last thing to do is to remove this bolt on the rear passenger seat. Once it's out, you can lift up the seat and then repeat the same wire snaking process. The video power bundle was finally untied, and after that it was snaked through this bottom corner. With the cable back here now, it could be tucked away and the camera could be plugged in. We then zip tied the camera cable to the trunk wire loom, which happened to be right by a factory plug, so we put a zip tie on either side. And back up front, the wire was tucked into the side. You can see it just hidden down here. And at the very front, we were careful not to get in the way of the hood release lever. The front trim piece was then secured back in place as well as the side piece. Now all we have left to do is feed this mess of wires up through the dash and into the space for the head unit. Again, wire snaking saved the day, and there was a lot of wire to pull through. Everything is plugged in just like before, and one last time we made sure the camera worked, and it did. And if you see, there's only one pair of guidelines now. The wires were then bundled back up and secured with zip ties. Now it's just the reverse process of taking everything apart. The head unit was screwed back in, trim pieces reinserted, passenger seat bolted up, retainer bins put back in place, trunk floor and liner placed in, and the beauty panel was reattached. And also the wire loom grommets too. But that's the complete project. It was really easy to do, it just took way longer than it should have because I wanted to document the whole thing, but he now has a functioning reverse camera, and it's not too much of an eyesore. We are both definitely okay with it because it does improve functionality and safety. All in all, this was, a damn fine Saturday project. There will be another BRZ video coming out sometime about suspension, so stick around for that if you're interested. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.